In this technical episode of AWS Cloud Adventures, we will talk about how Wallester built their card issuing platform. I'm Mohammad Sajid, Senior Solutions Architect at AWS, and with me I have Andre, CTO of Wallester. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you, Mohammed. It's a pleasure to be here.
You have developed this card issuing platform. I want you to go through the architecture and how you build it.
Yeah, sure. So the development of our platform started at the beginning of 2017. And from the really beginning, we wanted to have our platform developed internally because we wanted to keep all the knowledge about our platform inside of the company. And we also wanted to have our platform really scalable and use this as a competitive advantage for our platform. Looking at our partners or potential partners, so most of them had solutions on premise, but we thought that it's not beneficial for us because as a small company, as a startup, we didn't have much resources and time actually and the money to spend on all of that, on building all of that. So we thought that probably we should start in the cloud. And hopefully we had a good DevOps engineer in our team with advanced knowledge in AWS. So we started to use your platform, AWS, and started to build something in the cloud.
I hope that was not the only reason to choose AWS for deploying your solution.
Yeah, sure. Because we used AWS not only because of our engineer, obviously. So because of the cutting-edge solutions AWS Cloud provides, and the security and scalability. So because of all of that, we started to use the platform. To enable card issuance platform, we integrated with a lot of partners, including personalization centers, card processors, ready secure providers, card schema, in our case it's Visa, to payment gateways, to SMS gateways, to banks and others. And for our white label clients, we actually provide just one integration endpoint with us. This goes through our simple REST API, just one integration point for our clients. So we're helping them to streamline the card issuing platforms, programs, which they can build on top of our platform. So talking about architecture, we use multi-service architecture. We build and deploy our code using code build and code pipeline. The core of our infrastructure is EKS, where all our services are running.
Right. So when you have a multi-service architecture or a microservices architecture, multiple services often need to communicate with each other. So how do you develop this? How does your services communicate with each other?
Yeah, true. So we basically have two options how our services are communicated. First is a synchronous way, and for that we use gRPC. And for asynchronous way, we use SNS and SQS together. Also, for data storage, we use Aurora with Postgres and Elasticache with Redis for in-memory storage. We also utilize S3 for data storage, and we use KMS for our keys, certificates, and all the sensitive information storage.
You mentioned EKS. Kubernetes is great, but what benefits did you get from the managed Kubernetes service?
We primarily use AKS because of its high availability and scalability. We also like that it's a managed service because we don't need to spend a lot of time on configuration and maintenance of Kubernetes in AWS. Because of the dynamic nature of our traffic, especially in peak holiday seasons, so EKS helps us a lot with the scaling up and down based on the demand of the traffic coming. Also, in our infrastructure, we have basically two parts because we wanted to segregate our non-PCI data from PCI data. And in PCI zone, we use more serverless solutions like EKS with Fargate, which helps us to achieve PCIDSS certification.
I can see security is really important for you, and I want to know how did you achieve your security requirements in AWS?
Yes, you are right. Managing regulatory compliance for financial institutions is a very complex and time-consuming task. To obtain PCIDSS certification is actually not so easy. It contains of 12 major requirements that the system should satisfy to achieve this certification. And when the need arose for our platform to be PCIDSS certified, so we started to think how to build the PCI zone there. Most of our partners use on-premise solutions for that. But we, as a startup, don't have so many resources to spend on building huge solutions on-premise. We don't have so many resources, time for that. So we started to look how we can do it much easier. And as we already used AWS Cloud, we started to look at what kind of services AWS can offer to us. And we found that there are a lot of PCIDSS compliant services already provided by AWS with a shared responsibility model. So we started to build our PCI zone in AWS Cloud as well. And I think it was really straightforward for us, and we spend much less resources on that compared to our partners. One of the problems we needed to solve is how to secure card data in our platform, because the requirement is usually to have a HSM, which is on-premise, and it's hard to achieve that in the cloud. But fortunately, AWS provides KMS, key management service, which is underneath using HSM machines in Amazon clouds. So we started to use KMS, and it actually helped us to achieve the main security requirement from PCIDSS to secure card data in our databases. So to sum up, the PCIDSS compliant services which AWS provided helped us to be one of the first card issuer in the cloud who received a PCIDSS certification and then enabled card payment in the cloud.
Fantastic. I remember you talk about infrastructure as code in the beginning, and you also mentioned a couple of AWS services. Can you go through a little bit more? How did you do the implementation?
As I talked before, for us it was very important to quickly start and to not spend much resources on the infrastructure and more focus on the development. So we decided that we built our infrastructure as a code. So because there are multiple benefits of using infrastructure as a code, because it can help to automate provisioning of our resources in the infrastructure. It also enables consistency across all our regions and deployments. Also, it provides versioning for our infrastructure and the tracking of all the changes we might have there. And it also helps to reduce duplication of efforts to implementing the same components in different parts of the platform. And it also helps to easily and quickly implement new functionalities, to add new functionalities to our platform. Also, one of the benefits, and I think it's very important one, that we can easily redeploy our infrastructure in another region in case of disaster recovery solutions to keep our business continuity.
Right. It's always a good idea to avoid ClickOps when we talk about deployment in production. Since you mentioned multi-region, I would like to know what are your plans in the future, your scalability plans, and you spoke about multi-region deployment in terms of failover, but what about, do you have customers in other regions, and what's your plan?
Mm-hmm. So let's start first about the scalability, because as I said, we have chosen AWS not only because of our engineer, but also because of the scalability and high availability. Currently, we use AKS, and it's very helpful for the scalability issues, so to match the demand with our resources. The same for the database part. We use Aurora Serverless version 2, which also helps us to scale our database capabilities based on the demand. As you asked about the different regions, so currently we use just one region. We deploy everything into Europe, but in multiple availability zones. As I mentioned, we tested our disaster recoveries where we deployed our infrastructure in another region as well. But currently, most of our clients are in Europe, so we have all our infrastructure in Europe region. Our plans is, of course, to have US and other regions. And the cloud provider with capabilities of having our infrastructure in different regions is actually very helpful here for us.
Now I want to know a little bit more about your future plans, your innovation plans, and how AWS can help you.
Sure. So I see basically three main directions how we're going to innovate in the near future. First, we have a lot of data in our platform, and we want to use it more efficiently to build reports based on that, to make some analysis. And for that, we want to build a data warehouse. And I think that Amazon Redshift will suit here very well. Secondly, we want to use more AI technologies because we wanted to provide more cutting-edge solutions to our clients. And we will start with the fraud monitoring system. We can enhance it using, for example, Amazon fraud detection or SageMaker for the bespoke models there. We also can improve our internal productivity by generative AI solutions like Amazon Q, for example. We can use it for our development processes and for building business analytics using Amazon QuickSight. The third thing, what I'm currently thinking of, is integration with Visa. Because as you know, Visa is our partner, and we want to have a direct connection with VisaNet. There is a solution called Visa Cloud Connect, where we can connect our virtual private cloud with Visa Private Cloud, and to have a direct connection using Amazon Private Link. And on top of that, we are going to use Cloud HSM to secure all data transactions through our platform.
I really enjoyed our conversation, Andre, and thank you very much for joining today.
Yeah, thank you, Mohammed. It was a pleasure to talk to you today as well.
If you want to learn more about the Wallester story from a business perspective, don't forget to check out the business episode. Thank you very much.